How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Elgato HD60 capture card. I will also be talking about almost everything I can about this capture card and using this capture card. That includes setting this capture card up with a console and also setting it up with a single PC that you want to use. I'll talk about the HDCP, the CPU usage when you're recording on the same PC, so a single PC. I'll talk about the software, the game capture software. I'll also talk about live streaming a little bit, but I'm not a live streamer or anything. I'm only for recording person. Also I will be talking about the files that come out of this, the bit rates, and pretty much everything you'd want to know about the Elgato capture card. Now mine is a little dirty now, I guess because I've been using it. So here it is. Here's the Elgato HD60. I'll also be talking about the other capture cards Elgato offers, including the HD60S and the HD60 Pro and also the 4K 60. And I'll also be mainly talking about the built-in H.264 encoder. But let's start off with the this capture card and we'll take a look around it. It looks pretty much the same as the Elgato HD60S, which is the newer revision of this capture card. It's pretty much the same thing, but there is a huge difference. So it looks like an overly really rounded off shape, like an SSD or something. Rectangle, looks nice. It's quite slim, so as you can see, it's a really nice card. Now on the front it has the HD60 written over here, and it's got this LED strip, more like 7 LEDs in there. It's not an LED strip. Now on one side you got an auxiliary in, this is for audio in. You got a HDMI in and a USB out to connect to your PC. On the other side you've just got HDMI out, and that's all there is basically to it. And let's go ahead and set this up because there's not really much to talk about while looking around the device. Okay, so here's the picture of a setup with the console. So you have the HD60 and you have it connected to the PC with a USB cable, and then from the HDMI from the PS4 you go to the Elgato in, and on the other side you just go out to the TV, and then you'll have audio coming through from your TV and stuff. Or if you have audio coming through a USB stick or the optical in or something, that will go to your mixer and then that'll go into the auxiliary in. Or if you've got audio coming through the HDMI cable to your TV, you plug the headphones or the speakers into your TV. So really you just use this normally as you would through a HDMI cable. This just kind of sits in between it, and to record audio or live commentary over it, you just have a mic plugged into your PC. Now I'm not going to focus on recording console gameplay from this because I'm more of a single PC guy, but just want to point out if the signal does not come through or if it's black, then that's an issue with HDCP, and the capture card will indicate that after you turn it on white, this LED will blink white twice, and then if it blinks red, that means there's HDCP coming through, so it's not going to allow you to capture it. Now on the PS4 you can go into the settings and disable HDCP. That will allow you to play games, but you can't watch Netflix and stuff through this, and that will work. And for the Xbox I think you have to reboot the thing, and it should just kind of start working, I guess. Now with the PC there's a whole new story because it's a lot more complicated. Okay, with the PC the normal setup is like this, and I missed the headphones and the microphone off because kind of forgot that, but you'll have those two plugged into the PC. So you have a HDMI cable going to the Elgato, and then a HDMI from the Elgato to the monitor, and then you just have the USB connected to your PC, and that way the Elgato is gonna work. And the audio will come through the HDMI port, so whatever audio system you got connected up to the TV, that's gonna work normally. If you use an external mixer or something, then it's gonna be a bit more like this, but I'll get to that in a bit. So when you don't have the Elgato set up, you'll basically have your PC routed to the monitor, and then when you get the Elgato, it'll just be like this. There's just gonna be an Elgato in between them. Now let's talk about HDCP, because when I plug this into the PC just like this, it did not work, and I wanted it to work like this because this is perfect for me. It's so clean, you know, and well, I just wanted it to work like this, but it didn't, because the Nvidia graphics cards and also the AMD, well, it's kind of legal to use HDCP protection so people don't rip DVDs and all. But this would kind of stop the Elgato working with the PC nowadays, and unfortunately it didn't work with my graphics card. So it blinked red and they said nope, not gonna let you see the video signal, and so it just didn't work. I got really upset and a little irritated because the Roxio Game Capture HD Pro worked with the PC without any problem. So what I did was got the PC, plugged it into the Roxio from HDMI, then from the other HDMI from out of the Elgato, the Roxio to the Elgato, and then from the Elgato to the monitor. And that worked. That would let the signal through, and then you'll see the video and without HDCP, because the Roxio Game Capture HD Pro gets rid of the HDCP for some weird reason. But that also means once you have the Elgato plugged into the PC, you'll also have need to plug the Roxio Game Capture HD to the PC. And every time you turn the PC on, you have to unplug this and then plug this one back in, because that's just how it works. You have to wait for the drivers to load in, and I'm guessing that's how it kind of works. Now, audio capturing in terms of PC recording is, in my case, is a little weird, but it works the way I want it. Now normally you would have headphones plugged into your monitor from the 3.5mm headphone jack out. Now unfortunately my monitor does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack out, and personally I don't mind. In fact, I don't want the headphone jack out because it sounds like absolute garbage anyways. What I do and what I want is to use a proper amplifier or something, and I have this Sennheiser GSX 1000 which is perfect for gaming. It solves so many problems. And so what I have is the auxiliary cable coming out from here into there. I have this splitter thing, and that one goes to my headphones and one goes to the Elgato capture card, and also have the microphone plugged into here which the Elgato software picks up, and then I have this plugged into the PC to as from USB to audio out. And this is how I record basically. So I have the Elgato going out there. Well, actually the thing is, this is how I had it. The problem is there's a better setup which I use right now, and that's this. So the difference is that I've got a HDMI splitter. Everything else is exactly the same, and the reason I wanted this is because with the Roxio Game Capture HD, it kind of kept on changing the colors of it over and over again, and it was messed up, and the recording was like a little like that as well, and I didn't like it. So I got the HDMI splitter and it just solved that. But what it also did is strip the HDCP thing. Believe it or not, it did. I'm not joking. And I didn't expect this, and I didn't get the HDMI splitter for that, but for some reason it worked. Now the reason I don't recommend getting a HDMI splitter is because in the past I did get a HDMI splitter, but that didn't work, and so this was out of the question in my brain. I was like, nope, I don't want that. I don't want to go through the trouble having to actually find one that works and gets rid of the HDCP. I just wanted to duplicate the signal, and instead it actually got rid of HDCP as well. So now I have a HDMI splitter going into my monitor just like I would normally do, and I got the other setup here, which is all a mess really. If you look at my setup now, it's all just a really big mess, but it works for me. Okay, now if you are planning on getting a HDMI splitter, this is a really good tip. When you get this out of the box, first plug into your monitor only. Do not plug the HD60 in. Do not even plug this into your computer or whatsoever. Plug only this into your monitor in your PC, from your PC to the HDMI in, and then from one of the HDMI outs go to your monitor, just like you normally would. And this does have a power in, but mine doesn't really need it because it just works without it, so I'm just using it without it. And that basically, when the signal comes through to this, restart your computer and just have this lying around, and if it does come through, that's good. What you need to do next is, while the computer is on, plug in the other HDMI to the Elgato's in, and then plug the Elgato into your computer, and then load up the software and see if the HDMI signal is coming through. Because I think what happens is Windows kind of, this thing kind of says, I am not here, I am this monitor. And so the Windows kind of picked this up as the monitor, is the name of the monitor that I've got. And so I think if you plug the if the capture card, you plug it in first, it's just going to block the whole thing going. And I think that's what the problem was when I first got HDMI splitter and it didn't work. I plugged it directly into the capture card and I turned it on really quickly, just to kind of, because I was really eager to see if it even worked, and I think that's what blocked it off. But this time I didn't, because I didn't really bother with getting into the HDCP. The Roxio Game Capture HD Pro did already get into the HDCP, so I wasn't really looking for that. Luckily, it's actually done that, and the video signal I'm playing right now is like just like normally using PC. Whenever I don't want to use the capture card, I can unplug it, which saves the lifetime and everything, so that's nice. So that's basically a setup on the PC and stuff. Okay, now let's talk about the different Elgato capture cards. I mainly want to talk about the H.264 encoder in here. So I have the HD60, there's also the HD60S. The difference is this one's missing the built-in encoder, and it has instant game view instead, which basically means that you can see the gameplay real time in the Elgato software. Not something I'm looking for, not something I'm interested in either. And then you have the HD60 Pro, which is the G spot for everything except it works in a PCIe lane. Now, the reason I didn't get this and I wanted this one is because I'm using a Ryzen chipset, and right now with the Ryzen there's just a whole lot of problem going on AMD side to getting things work on the PCIe lane. And so one of the reported problems is that this capture card doesn't work properly, and you'd have to send it back and get the firmware updated for it to work with the Ryzen CPU. So I didn't get this. Just to avoid the trouble, I went with the HD60. Now the 4K 60 is basically like this one, except it works on PCIe and it does 4K and not 1080p 60. Now the problem with these two is the H.264 encoder is missing. And a lot of you, or pretty much everybody, thinks that this is not important, but I'll tell you why it is important, and it is very, very, very important. You don't exactly need it. That's why these exist. You know, they don't have it. You don't need it in here, and they work. But there's a huge difference in having one and not having one, and I'll get to that right now. Okay, so have a look at this video here. Capture cards do not work. In summary, this video says the built-in H.264 encoder inside your capture card doesn't do anything at all, in a nutshell. And so basically what that means is, doesn't matter which capture card you get, it's gonna use your PC's CPU to encode the video. Now I found that actually not the case. In fact, having a H.264 encoder uses 0% of the CPU. And I'll get to that and I'll show you my proof. This person does not have any proof. Just wanted to point that out. So if you're gonna follow this video, just know that I'm guessing this person has not done any research. So because I found out that it's not using any much percentage of my CPU, so I don't know why it would on there. So yeah. Now I was also interested in AverMedia's capture card, especially the 1080p 60 PCIe capture card, because it doesn't require any drivers. So when I looked at the HD60 Pro and the Ryzen problem, I wanted to get this one instead because this one was driverless and it would work. Now AverMedia has a really nice lineup. You got 1080p 60 here, 1080p 60 USB Type C, and they work really well. But you also have to realize that the software plays a huge part in this, and while Rec Central is getting better and it is quite nice, this is basically the HD60 Pro from Elgato. I still think that I kind of prefer Elgato's software because of the features that it has and the way it works, and I've been using it and I'm really happy with it. Now the problem with this capture card is that there is no built-in H.264 encoder. The only one that does have it is this one or this one, and I wanted a capture card that would work with the PC, so I'll send or the video files while it's recording to the PC, just like the HD60. But I'm not sure if any of these do that, and I'm not really interested in them anymore. Now the 1080p 30 capture card from AverMedia was really good because it's got H.264 built-in encoder, and for some weird reason they've got rid of that. I don't know why. So yeah, it would have been nice if they had this, and I would have got that instead. Now my previous capture card that I'm moving from is and was the Roxio Game Capture HD Pro. Maximum recording up to 1080p 30. That's why I upgraded to the HD60. Now can record at 1080p 60, which is what I wanted. But everything else is good about this card. In fact, I'd say that this is probably better in every way, or almost every way, or is equal to the HD60 that I have. The only difference is the software is absolute garbage on this thing, and even though it works really well and it seems to be working really fine for me. I just go, and in fact it actually gets rid of HDCP from your PC, so for some weird reason that works like that, and I like that more than the Elgato's. I wanted a really easy setup. I don't want to have a lot of things lying around using it all at once and then putting them all in together and then syncing up the video. I just wanted press and record, and then that's it, you're done. And then just drag your video into your Sony Vegas or whatever. And this thing doesn't do that. And also because it doesn't record 1080p 60, there was a reason to upgrade. But I also want to point out that this one does have component in, so it does allow you to record your older systems. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my Elgato HD60. And I'll show you this thing over here. I'll just go ahead and open it. So you can install this thing and it'll come with sound capture, but I don't really use that. What this does is redirect audio from whatever you're using to this software. So that'll come down here, and then you'll be able to just have another audio from whatever you're using, Discord, as a different file, I'm guessing, and that works really well, but I don't really need it because of my setup. Now let's go ahead and plug this in, and I have got it plugged into the HDMI splitter. I just haven't got the USB cable plugged into my PC. I'm going to plug it in right now, and we'll go over all of this over here. And right now I think I'm using the GPU to render the video with OBS, and this is what it's doing. So as you can see, this is what I wanted to get rid of. And keep in mind, the PC that I have is not really good at all. It's very budget, very low end, except from this thing. Okay, so I'm recording 1080p 60. Hopefully it doesn't drop any frames. So yeah, that's basically it. With OBS, just to show you what this does. Okay, so I plugged it in, and as you can see, it's loading the thingy up, and it'll start showing this, and CPU is gonna go up because it's doing this. Okay, so let's go over the software. I'm just gonna disable this for now. So this is what I use to record videos on, and I play in windowed mode because the monitor I have is really big, so it's just easy for me. So down here you've got the live recording thing, which basically means as long as your capture card is plugged in, it's always in use and is recording, and that's what taxes your system. Okay, so don't do that. I don't think this is called flashback recording. I don't need it. You can take a screenshot. You got your timing, the recording over here, and you got your preview display, and you can disable that to lower the CPU usage, as you can see. And you also got the mute thing, which basically mutes the audio coming through from the game audio over here, but we don't even want that because that's not live. If you want that, get the HD60S, but then it doesn't have a H.264 encoder inside it. Just something to point out. Okay, so let's start with the top over here. We've got the settings that I use. So everything over here is disabled, all of this is enabled, and I'll talk about this. So if you tick this, what the software is going to do is, after it's finished recording, it's going to start converting the files into MP4, and that's going to use your CPU to 100%ish. And it's basically converting a video file. It's like rendering out in Sony Vegas or something. You're just rendering out a video, and you can't close this. If you do, then it's going to say, do you want to stop the converting and stuff? I've been using this, and while it's nice to use and this makes life so much more easier, for longer videos it takes hours to just turn into MP4, so we're just not going to bother with that. Now let me go ahead and show you the files that is outputted over here. So this is the MP4 outputs. MP4 over here, MP4. Now these are really small recordings. If you get a big recording, it is going to be massive. So for example, these ones up in here, 5 gigabytes. That's like half an hour long. It takes very long to convert into this thing. I just didn't even bother with it. Now also, if you record live commentary from this thing here, that will come out as a separate track. So that's this thing here. And then even though you have all these, so if you have this thing ticked, all it's doing is converting the same file that is already made into here. So let's, for example, find 144926. Okay, so 144926. So that recording is this recording here. Now this is raw. This is all the data over here, not raw, but this is everything. And when you press stop recording, this file is always here, and this is the actual recording, and it's the proper file that the Elgato software uses. And now what it does is, when it's converting to MP4, is it just converts this file. So even if you lose the MP4 file, you still got the video, and then you can do whatever you want with this video. So even if this kind of gets messed up, or all of a sudden this system PC shuts down, this should be still here, and it should work just fine, hopefully. I don't use this anymore because I have a better way of doing it. Updates, there's that, hotkeys, don't really use advanced. Now I've got this to software built in, and then software built in, because the capture card that I have, the HD60, has a built-in H.264 encoder. And this, the difference between this is, if you get the best performance, it's gonna look like crap. If you use the highest one, it's gonna look like really nice. At least it's much better. But the CPU usage is no difference at all. There is no difference between the CPU usage, so there's no point using the lower quality version. Now after that, you go into settings on the thingy here. Now 1080p 60 input output, 21 megabytes a second recommended minimum. Do not drop down to 14 point whatever megabytes a second. It looks like absolute garbage, but it does work, even for 720p in windowed mode. This one is what I choose now, and it looks much better. It still doesn't look perfect. I would say jump in for 1080p recording, jump to 40 megabits per second. That was much better. But I don't really have a lot of space on here, as you can see, so I'm gonna use this for now. And if you want to record 1080p 60, you click this. Otherwise it's gonna only record 30 fps, and this thing you don't really need to mess about with, but I've just got it set to that. And the audio, you can either record the HDMI signal or the analog input, and that's what I've got. So I've got this thingy plugged into the Elgato, and that's where it picks up the audio from. Don't mess around with these, and this is the default, but we'll just leave it out like that. There's nothing else you need to mess about with. I'll just put this to a 5 just for the fun of it, because it did corrupt one of my videos and I want to know why, but I don't know. It doesn't matter, because that's only happened to me once. Now for live streaming, you also have to set this up, but I don't live stream, so you can set this up if you want. And now the game audio is whenever you're playing a game or something, the audio is going to come through here, and it's not going to show you any meters unless you enable this thing, and then this thing is then going to show you the meters over here. And to enable commentary, and the first time I actually plugged my microphone in and it just wasn't like recording it, I was kind of upset, because why is it not like recording the audio? Well, the button is down here. You press this and then it kind of shows that it's recording. So right now the microphone that you're listening to is also being plugged into the interface thing you have, and so that's why it's popping up over here. Now the funny thing is I have the levels all the way down to 10, and even then it's quite loud. I'm using a line out, so it is quite a really powerful signal going out, 2 volts or something, so 2.1 volts. So you have to expect that. And when it gets to yellowish, do not get it to yellowish. It kind of starts clipping and distorts the audio. Haven't had a problem with using a HDMI audio in. So from here, if you use HDMI, just leave everything on default, it'll work perfectly. But this is analog and it just kind of messes around. So I've put this down to 34. I'll put it down to, in fact 34 is alright. Even 40 is okay, but I just to be on the safe side, if anything goes way too loud, it shouldn't distort on this side. So that's basically it on the software, and the rest is kind of useless. I don't really think you need to worry about that. Let's talk about CPU usage. Now I'll have to obviously stop recording from OBS to kind of show you that, but I do have a video showing 0% usage. Okay, so when you plug the HDMI in, what's happening is there's 2 signals coming in, and they're both going out to the USB port. So one signal, it goes to the H.264 encoder, and the other one is a really low quality signal that goes to your PC, so you can actually see it in here. And what that signal is just signal. Your CPU has to process it. It's a low quality signal, but your CPU has to process it. Now when it comes to the H.264 encoder and using low CPU usage, it doesn't really work with streaming, live streaming, so that's always going to use your CPU. So if you're going to live stream, don't bother with this thing, get the HD60S or somewhere else. But the first signal goes to the H.264 encoder, second signal is lower quality, is basically duplicate from the HDMI signal, and that goes to your PC, so you can not only live see over here live, but you can also live stream. Now this capture card records a master copy, which basically means you have the H.264 thingy recording at 40 megabits per second, but you also have a low quality 3 megabits per second video file coming through. So there's 2 videos coming through through the tiny USB 2 interface, so that's bad, I know. But they seem to be working. It comes through, and that's how you can also have a high quality recording and also have a low quality streaming thingy. So whenever you want to go back, you have a high quality recording left. Now the thing with the HD60S is that it doesn't do this, because it doesn't have a H.264 built-in encoder. What it does is Wicked Signal comes in, compresses it, goes to your PC for everything else. That's all it does. And then it's up to your PC. And if you're going to live stream at 3 megabits per second, your video that you've recorded is also going to be 3 megabits per second. So just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about adding this to OBS or any of the streaming software that you want to use. And now this, since it is the HD60 and not the HD60S, you're gonna have a little bit of a delay with the recording thing. So you're gonna have to sync that up with the microphone audio. But when you're using this, nothing ever goes out of sync. And I have heard people say that it, even with the HD60 Pro, it goes out of sync. But I haven't had a problem with this yet. But let's go ahead and add a video capture device. And it's just gonna add it over here. So yeah, pretty much just click OK. And I believe if I close this, it should kind of pop up or something. So there we go. So you got the signal over here. Again, of course, it has a little bit of a delay, but you can use OBS to record. Now let me talk about recording with OBS. This is OBS. This does not use the Elgato capture card software, which is the only software that interacts with your Elgato capture card. And so if you have a built-in H.264 encoder, OBS is not going to be able to use that. So if you're going to record with OBS and get an Elgato capture card or any other capture card, there's no point thinking about getting a built-in H.264 encoder. This thing doesn't even recognize that. It only recognizes this as an input device. Basically that means when you press record, it's going to use your CPU and it's gonna use your GPU if you're using that to record. So there is just no point in using OBS. It's gonna use your CPU and everything to record. Now let me go ahead and talk about some gameplay. Let's go ahead and show you some gameplay footage. Oh, now one more thing that I want to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump into here. I'll have to find the video over here. Okay, so this is it. Now whenever you switch resolution, so in PS3 when you're in the XMB menu is 1080p, then when you go into certain games it goes to 720p. It actually switches the resolution. Now what happens is with the Roxio Game Capture HD Pro, it just stops recording when it switches the resolution. Now with this one, it keeps recording, but it makes a new file with a new resolution. So this is a recording at 1080p as you can see. And then when I switch the resolution in CSGO, I'm gonna do right over here. So going full screen basically at 720p, changes it to 720p. That makes this video over here. This video is 720p at 60 fps. Something about that, right? Yeah. Yes, but it is at 60 fps. It's just a little bit messed up. But as you can see, the video is now full screen, playing at 60 fps footage. And then after that, when I switch the resolution back to I'll just add this one in here. When I switch the resolution back to windowed mode, it went back into windowed mode. I just did this. So, and there is no lag or whatsoever between going from different resolution to whatever. Now this CPU thing does use 0% of the CPU, but it's this game that's using 55% of the CPU over here. And I'll just go ahead and turn this one off. And I'll look for a different one which does use 0% CPU. Okay, here's another sample, so have a look at this. So when I change the resolution to whatever, it does this and it's still recording. So very good, it keeps recording. And then when I do switch the resolution back to thingy, it doesn't stop recording. So as you can see, the software is still recording. Very good. Okay, just so you know, when I did have the Roxio Game Capture HD Pro plugged into the Elgato Game Capture HD to get rid of the HDCP, it did degrade the quality just a little bit, as you can see the colors over here, but it didn't do a huge damage. Okay, as you can see, CPU usage is 3% without everything else on, and it's recording. And then if you obviously turn the commentary on, it goes up just by a little bit, considering the CPU is really poopy. So honestly, not a huge deal. It goes down again and then up again once to or just about 10%. Just really, that's it. Now if you do enable the preview display, it will go up to like 10 or 20%, but honestly there's your proof. It doesn't use any of the CPU. Now in the gaming recording that I was showing you over here somewhere, so what's using the CPU in this case is just the game, and that's over here. Now I did as you can see, the preview is disabled over here. It just hides that thingy there. But if you do enable the preview, so I have enabled the preview, the CPU usage is on 90%. So it definitely does increase the CPU usage, but yeah, overall it works really well. Now let's get into some gameplay. I'll record some 1080p gameplay and enjoy. Okay, so this is a test of Minecraft or 1080p with the shaders running, and just want to show you how smooth it really is. Now Minecraft is a bit of a picky game, so right now it's being a little jittery, but the GPU is rendering 60 FPS. I think it's the CPU that's bottlenecking it. So as you can see, if I turn my camera around, it's kind of jumpy a little bit. But if you can get a better CPU, which you obviously would have, this would be perfectly smooth. And the way it seems to be really working well. Now if I do turn this down to 720p, it's going to be much better than what it is over here. So I'll just go ahead and do that now. So as you can see, it seems to be a lot more smooth for some reason. And I've just full screened it to 1080p and it's still smooth. So I'm guessing it's the HDMI splitter or something that I'm doing, because when I go full screen it does flicker just once. But as you can see, beautiful. It's really smooth. It should be capturing all of this. I'm recording at 40 megabits per second because I tried this at 24 megabits per second, which I use for 720p recording, and it looks like absolute garbage. Oh, there we go, the rain is here. But as you can see, amazing. I love this capture card, and it's recording perfectly fine, no problem. Right now it is choking my hard drive or something because it's chumping up everything, and I've got only a tiny bit of space left down here. But as you can see, it works really well. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and I'm not sure if Minecraft supports surround sound, which is what I'm using right now. It seems like it does, but this is in stereo and sounds kind of better. Oh, this music is annoying. But as you can see, perfectly smooth. There is a little bit of stutter because of the camera I'm using. But yeah, otherwise it's just really nice and it's smooth. Okay, let's jump into another game. We'll play CSGO now. Okay, this is a test of CSGO. So now we're playing CSGO at 1080p. Just turn the volume down a bit. So I'm playing with bots right now just for the test, and as you can see, perfectly smooth, really nice. Oh, why the flip did you shoot him, you prick? I wanna get that hit.
Cool, man. Right there.
I was on low health. See, this game doesn't look as nice as Minecraft. Just saying, you know, with those shaders. Now, this is all being recorded just with our software. So I'm doing the live commentary with that software, and it's all going to be in sync. Now, it does sometimes feel like it's out of sync, but actually that's not the case. It's just the keyboard, the way that it makes the sound. It's, you know, when I let go of the key, that's when it reaches back up to the top. That's when the key makes the sound, so it's like I'm pressing afterwards and whatnot, but normally it's just working the way it's meant to. So as you can see, this is the full screen, and Minecraft is the only one that kind of stutters. It doesn't stutter when I'm not recording, so I'm gonna have to like do some research on that, but it's okay. Oopsie. You freaking prick, I'm gonna kill you one day. Keep coming in the radio box. Flipping heck, man. Oh my god! Alright, I'll stop it here. Alright, so I've opened up the video that I just recorded, and I want to show you the options. So if you right click and you go into audio tracks, you've got quite a few over here, and then you've only got one video track. Now okay, so the first one is the game audio only, so that's this one here. The second one here is the live commentary on a separate track on its own, and then there's the rest of them are muddled up, but this one here is both of these two joined together. Like, I'm not joking. So right, I'll just go ahead and play it back, and this is basically both of them. So as you can see, this is the full screen, and Minecraft is the only one that kind of stutters. It doesn't stutter when I'm not recording. And then watch this. I go back onto this one. I go back a little bit. That's only the game audio, right? And then if I go on to this one here, so it's really quite amazing. So as you can see, this is the full screen, and Minecraft is the only one that kind of stutters. It doesn't stutter when I'm not recording. So yeah, pretty much. Now I know this video has already been long enough, so what I'll do is just stop recording, and I'll say thank you for watching. If you have any questions or anything I missed out about this capture card, let me know in the comment section below. Just so you know, when everything was full screen, Minecraft, whatever, this program was not using the CPU at all. I actually checked before recording because I wanted to find out why I was stuttering, but just couldn't be asked with it. So this software, it wasn't using much of the CPU. It's just 7%. I'm guessing like this thing was on and all, and it was recording at 40 megabits per second. Not sure if you're allowed to change it, but yeah, I is recording at that now. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in a different video.